The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you. Hello, and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist, Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined as always by...
the autocrat that surely is not lying to his people, that is Eric Velasquez. My pronouns are also he, him.
Yeah. You gotta love an evil politician.
I mean, you know, or monarch, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Scientist, usurper, whatever.
Right, yeah.
We need more, well, we don't need more usurpers, never mind.
We need more media that shows that usurpers are bad and prevalent.
Yes, yes.
We need to make sure people know that.
Well, so here's the problem, right? What if showing it's like the quote about a good military movie, no matter how bad you make it look, it still looks cool. So
yes.
I'm kind of worried that it would be like, you know, encouraging potential autocrats.
Yeah, all the people that
dictators.
watch Star Wars and think that Darth Vader is the cool one.
Yeah. It's like, no, he's the cautionary tale. That's why they made those prequels.
Yeah.
All right, but we're not talking about that kind of stuff today. We're talking about Igor from 2008.
Yeah. This was a first time watch for me, as I mentioned last time, and yeah, I was really impressed with this. Like, it's pretty smart for something that ostensibly is aimed at children, but it's like fun. Like, I feel like kids would enjoy this.
Well, there's also a lot of adult jokes in there, here and there.
It's you said it's almost at the tail end. Like, there was that like sort of renaissance of like animated movies that had a lot of adult humor in them that were made so that parents weren't bored while their kids were watching movies. I feel like Shrek was like a big one for that. This feels like maybe the tail end of that sort of time period. Like, now it feels like most kids stuff, it's just like, you know, bottom of the barrel, no writing.
Brainless drivel.
Yeah. Was that Coco Melon or whatever?
God!
Yeah.
Oh. Like, I had to be in a room where there was a child and that on, and I'm like, they're breeding, like, they're trying to take the intelligence out of any child that's around. They're just draining it away.
I've only seen a couple clips, and I was just like, whoa, yeah, that does not feel like it's going to make kids smart. I mean, you know, you shouldn't rely on TV to make your kids smarter, but, like, you know, at least, you know, like Sesame Street when we were kids, like, it was educational. Like, it was trying to, you know, at least if you're going to be having screen time, at least you can kind of be, like, enriching yourself a little bit. But
yeah, I mean, we at least got some education out of those things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Versus stupid-ass fucing baby songs. Well, some people may like that. I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Yeah. Do your own thing. But the cast is stacked. Like, we've got a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously John Cusack being like the main one who kind of like he plays our main Igor here and really carries the movie. But then, yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, Molly Shannon, Steve Buscemi, John Cleese. Like, it's just, it's Susie Izzard, or, you know, Eddie Izzard as they're credited at this point.
And Jennifer Coolidge being her most Jennifer Coolidge-ness.
And Jay Leno.
Amazing. Jay Leno.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah.
And also, it took me a lot. Like, I'm usually like pretty good at like picking up whose voice it is in animated stuff when it's like celebrities and everything. But Sean Hayes, he sounds so different in this from anything else I've heard him in.
It took me, like, I didn't figure that one out. I had to go to IMDb for him.
Well, I think it's because he's using his actual voice versus like what he normally does.
Yeah, he's not playing Jack from Will and Grace in this.
Exactly.
He's just, like, talking normally.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, like, and I think that speaks to, like, this being like a more quality production. Like, we're bringing in a lot of actors. Like, we want this to be more than just a dumb, kids movie, lowest common denominator kind of thing.
Right. So, I mean, unless John Cleese was really poor at this time and needed the money, I feel like he doesn't pick crappy roles for the most part. I don't, off the top of my head, I can't think of a bad movie that he's been in, like a really bad one.
Yeah, he seems to mostly, I think he's done a couple rom-coms in, like, the late 90s that were probably just kind of, like, middle of the road, but they were still, like, decent,
Yeah.
But yeah, and yeah, he's definitely, like, he's kind of a smaller role in this. I'm sure he, like, came in for a day or whatever, but, like, he adds something to it. Like, he's a lot of fun in his role.
Well, let's not have spoilers just yet, because it's very fun.
Yeah. All right, yeah, so you want to get into it then?
Let's go. Let's talk about Pennies from Heaven.
Yeah, like, I was thinking about this song is so, like, it's, it's a kind of, like, big band swing kind of song, but I associate it so much with Elf that it feels like it's a Christmas song, and it's not. Like, it's just a song. But that the soundtrack to this movie in general is mostly like Big Bang Swing, which seems like a really strange choice, but mostly seems to work okay. It's just not what you normally think of as soundtracking an animated film from recent years.
Yeah, it feels like an older audience. That this was for the older audiences, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so yeah, while Pennies from Heaven's playing, we get like a voiceover from Igor, John Cusack, and he's kind of like filling us in on the backstory of this country where he lives.
Malaria,
yeah. And it once was like a prosperous, beautiful, kind of agrarian society. Everyone was a farmer. It was just luscious green, hills and everything. But
right now every day is 100% chance of rain with a bit of horror.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, everything's just dark and cloudy. It just it looks like a horror movie. And
why is it like that?
Well, so we don't find out why for a while, but like to start with, it's just like the clouds just roll in, and now the society's kind of like, what do? We were farmers, now we can't farm, we don't get the sun, and the king had an idea, and they pivot their whole economy towards evil inventions.
How much is the evil invention market? I mean, I'm assuming this is basically like nukes, right? So it's got to be booming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like everybody, basically there's like the two stratas of society are mad scientists who do all the inventing, and the Igors. And in this, everybody who is a sidekick is named Igor.
Right. It's like they take away any identity of the minority in the nation. Wow, this is a lot of similarities with America.
Yeah. I mean, it's not too veiled. Like, there's definitely some like political leanings to this movie, which I it's not like beating you over the head with it, but it's pretty clear.
Yeah, it's like, hey, if you're paying attention, you picked up on this, right?
And so all of the Igors are all hunchbacks, and that's kind of like there's some definite like ableism stuff in this too, where it's just like, if you were born and you are like physically divergent in any way,
right,
then your name is Igor now, and you are you exist to serve the more important mad scientists.
Even if you aspire to be a mad scientist yourself, as long as you have that hunch on your back, you are an Igor.
Mm-hmm. It kind of reminded me of the Barbie movie, in that where like you've got everybody is either a Barbie or a Ken, and there's multiple Barbies saying hi to each other. Like in this, like there's a part somewhere where like when he's kind of giving his voiceover, you see a hunchback Igor doing stuff, and he's like, "Oh no, that's not me. That's a different Igor." And then the camera pans, and he's like, "Nope, still not me." And then he's like, "Now that one's me. You can tell because I'm extra handsome," and he looks just like
nothing like those other Igors.
Yeah. And but our Igor, the unique thing about him is that he has dreams of being a mad scientist. He wants to elevate himself, and this is a caste system basically. You're not getting out of your strata, but he he has ambition. He went to college. He went to Igor College and graduated with a Yes Master degree.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
Yeah. But
what do you say? He got it like a secondary in the Lisp or whatever it was.
Yeah, because he kind of has a little bit like
Yes, master.
Yeah, it's almost like the Karloff thing more than like a Peter Lorre thing or whatever. But it's funny because he talks in like the normal John Cusack voice for the most part, but like when he's interacting with the mad scientist, he has to kind of belittle himself and use this voice.
Well, he has to remind himself to do that too, because most of the time he's like, "Yeah, master. All right. Yes, master."
Yeah, it's almost like a code switching kind of thing. Yeah. Like this is the time where I have to act this way for these people, and
God,
yeah,
felt gross, but you're right.
Yeah.
But let's talk about his boss, Dr. Glickenstein.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Glickenstein is like totally just like an incompetent blowhard. He's like,
and this is John Cleese.
Yes, yeah, and it's like constantly like Igor is sort of going behind him trying to fix things without him knowing it. At some point, there's like Igor keeps trying to tell him like, "Hey, this one part you're using, maybe you should use a different voltage." And he's like,
"No, I'm the mad scientist. I know which part it is, Igor."
Yeah. But we also meet Igor. He works on inventions in secret, but he has two inventions that have become his own personal sidekicks. We've got Scamper, who is a rabbit played by Steve Buscemi.
Is it a rabbit? Well, yeah, you're right. It is a rabbit. Yeah, it's like a rabbit thing.
Yeah, I'm guessing that it's supposed to be like he was like a lab, a lab animal, but Igor has made him immortal, but also unfortunately he is suicidal, so it's a terrible situation for him.
It's got to be awful.
And it's like they nailed having Steve Buscemi. He's just like he's constantly just like, well, I guess this is my lot in life, and he's just miserable about it, but he's super funny. Yeah.
If this was if Steve Buscemi was the voice of Eeyore in an upcoming Winnie the Pooh movie, I'd love it.
Yeah, he could definitely pull that off.
But let's talk about Brain.
Yeah, so the other sidekick is like just a brain in a jar with kind of like robot arms and legs sticking out of it. And this is Sean Hayes, and he tried to make a sticker with his name on it that he stuck on the jar, but he spelled it wrong. So, or no, it's not even it's not a sticker. He just wrote it on it with Sharpie.
With permanent marker.
Yeah. And so he wrote Brian. And so now when Scamper is picking on him, he calls him Brian. And
as all good friends do.
Yeah, exactly. So Brain and Scamper are sort of like bickering constantly, but it's kind of like a fun friendship. They're definitely the comic relief of the movie.
But legitimately, don't let Brain get involved, or he will ruin everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, so we're still, Igor's still kind of like voiceover explaining everything. And he says that he wants to be a mad scientist, and the mad scientist that he looks up to is not his mad scientist, Dr. Glickenstein. It's
the best mad scientist.
Yeah, the best mad scientist in all of malaria, Dr. Schadenfreude. And this is Susie Izzard.
Right.
And I think then we cut to Dr. Schadenfreude,
playing the organ.
Yeah, like showing off. He's throwing this like big party. There's like a crowd, and they're not like it's strange because like we're led to believe that Dr. Schadenfreude is sort of like the most well-known and beloved mad scientist in all of malaria, but like the crowd doesn't really know what to take of him. Like he tells a joke and they all just kind of like stare at him. They don't really get it.
The joke's awful because he's like, what does he call his girlfriend Jacqueline? He calls her something like a wretch.
Oh yeah, he said it's something like where he's like, well, my assistant Jacqueline may be a miserable wretch. Yeah, that's it. That's all. I just wanted to say, yep, she may be that for sure. You know, like, it seemed like
shallow, conniving wretch.
Yes,
and yep, that's what she is.
Yeah, and so you know, his jokes are kind of dying, and then the king strolls in, and instantly the crowd turns. They're like they're like laughing along with his jokes. He's kind of making fun of Dr. Schadenfreude.
Yeah. Well, he literally calls Schadenfreude out. He's like, the original names were Picklemacher or Pockelmacher.
Yes.
They were pickle makers.
Yeah. Yeah, he comes from a long line of pickle makers and is trying to be a scientist now. And the king is Jay Leno. And so then we cut to like a little bit after the party. Dr. Schadenfreude and Jacqueline are like backstage or whatever, and they're kind of bickering. They don't
with his Igor.
Yeah, they don't really seem to like each other much. Like,
well, they do, but it's only because they despise. It's like they despise each other so much they've looped around.
They like respect each other's evilness.
Yeah.
And like she's definitely like a gold digger type character, and he is a fraud.
You know what? I'm gonna defend Jacqueline here. She is the most ride or die girlfriend we've seen, because she puts up with so much of his shit and helps him out so much. Like, she goes that extra mile.
Yeah, I mean, as this goes, we'll definitely see she's actually really doing more of the work than he is.
Yeah.
But like I think it's more that he views her as like, you're just leeching off me for my money. And she's like, no, you're a fraud, and you're just leeching off of me to have somebody to help you get away with all your schemes.
Right. And how do they take that out? They beat their Igor.
Yeah.
Both of them, they take turns. It's great. Mm-hmm. And she calls him daddy after they do it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, that's your thing. All right, cool. Good job, guys.
Yeah, like we said, there's some adult humor in this. Mm-hmm. Then we go back to Dr. Glickenstein's lab, and we have his girlfriend shows up to talk, and her name is Heidi, and she's a very, like, the name Heidi tells you exactly what to picture for her.
Very stereotypical Fraulein-type character.
Mm-hmm. And the voice is, again, Jennifer Coolidge, but, like, putting on a little bit of a German accent. And, you know, she's kind of trying to, like, flirt with Dr. Glickenstein, and he's just like, I'm busy, I'm working, go away. Like, I don't have time for you right now.
Right. She basically gives away the whole game by when she leaves. She's like, Schadenfreude's going to kill me. Mm-hmm. But in a German accent. So, Jacqueline is Heidi.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah. It took me so long to catch. Like, I realized that Jacqueline was Heidi, but like later on, somebody says something about Jacqueline and Heidi, and I was like, oh yes, of course.
The moment they talk about the pills is when it clicked for me. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. But yeah, so the whole deal here is that Schadenfreude sends her out in disguise and tries to get her to befriend various other scientists, and then she steals their work and gives it to Schadenfreude.
Well, let's be honest. She calls herself the girlfriend of many scientists. So the question is, how deep undercover does she go? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Will she do anything for her, man?
Yeah.
I don't really want to know. I'm just asking.
Well, in this case, it seems like Glickenstein doesn't really care about her, so she probably doesn't have to go too far here, but who knows what the other scientists are like.
No, but she just immediately comes upon Igor, and she's like, yeah, you're really ugly and gross.
Yeah, she calls him a dirty... She says, I don't like dirty little hunch people.
Yeah.
And Igor seems to be kind of like... He kind of likes her, you know. When like,
why I don't know.
Yeah, when Glickenstein is like, go away, Igor's like, you can hang out with me. I'm around, and she's like, no, I don't like you.
Not.
This is where the reason Glickenstein kicks her out is because he's in the middle of this big experiment, and he keeps trying to put this one part in, and Igor's like, no, seriously, you want a different voltage. You definitely don't want that. And he's like, no.
I'm the mad scientist here, Igor.
Yeah, so he starts it up. He has Igor throw the switch, and the whole machine explodes.
Blows him up.
Yeah, kills Dr. Glickenstein. He's left with just a pair of shoes sitting there next to...
Well, and an arm.
Oh, yes.
Arm.
Yeah, because he had a mechanical arm.
Now, see, in any other movie, like Megamind or something like that, the dead character will come back in the third act. No, he's dead. Mm-hmm. Don't get this twisted. He's dead.
Yeah, at first, because when Igor sees it, he's like, oh no, he's dead, and I was like, he's probably like hanging on from the ceiling or something. We're gonna get like a sight gag of him like all burnt and in just like underwear or something. But no, he is dead.
Yeah.
Yep. And Igor's like, I don't know what to do. And then before he can really figure it out, they find out that the king has arrived. He wants to talk to Glickenstein. And
yeah, he wants to see the invention that he's going to have, and that way he can, I believe, as he states, rub Schadenfreude's face in number 2 because he's been number 1 for so long.
Yeah. So like
pretty good.
The king is kind of concerned that Schadenfreude is getting a little too big, and that he might take over as king. And so
the hilarious thing is that Schadenfreude never would have fucking thought about that had Malbert just not been an asshole.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but the king keeps trying to undercut him, and so finally, Schadenfreude's like, fuck him, I'm going to take his job. But for now, the king's like, Glickenstein, I can help you out so that you move to the top of the pile, because they have an annual evil science fair that's coming up. That's the whole... like MacGuffin for this movie is the evil science.
Evil science.
Yeah. But of course, Glickenstein's not there, and Igor's just like, he's busy. He went out or something. But yeah, we've got a plan. We're gonna do something really great, and we're gonna be the next big one. And
right, Malbert's like, all right, do that. But it's your job as an Igor to make sure nothing ever happens to Glickenstein, or we'll kill you.
Yeah. And yeah, Igor's like, yeah, we got it. You're going to be so thrilled. We're going to create life. And the king's like, nobody's ever, we've mutated life. We've done all kinds of weird things to life, but we've never made life. Yes, yeah. So he's very excited by this idea. He leaves all thrilled that things are going to change. So then Igor is, talking to Scamper and Brain, and he's like, all right, we got to team up. We got to do this. Like, this is my chance. If I can show the king that I did all of this, then I can become a mad scientist.
Yeah, because it's not like racism will just push you back down or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he's he has hope, and I guess that's a good thing. But yeah, I think you're definitely right. This society is built to keep Igors in their place for sure.
Yeah. God, how many atrocities have occurred? And it's like, this is what, maybe like 50 years max?
Yeah, like it's definitely not been going on that long.
Forever.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's still got to be miserable though. All right, so the idea, let's make life. How do we make life? Let's make a girl monster.
Mm-hmm. So Igor takes them down into his like secret lab. He's like, "This is where I go to think." And Scamper's like, "What's next? Are you gonna pull out a guitar and sing us a song you wrote in college about being misunderstood?"
That hits a little bit too close to home. I'm just saying.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, Igor takes it in stride, and he's like, "No, look, like I've got this lady monster that she's almost done," and she's like in a closet, and he like opens the door, and it like
her skull's in the closet.
Yeah, it scares Scamper and Brain, and they like kind of run away, and he's like, no, this is it's so good. Like, aren't you excited?
Yeah, she's beautiful.
And so then we get a montage of them all working together to finish up the creation.
Right, and they're like, you know what we need to do? Give her indestructible skin.
Yeah. Yeah, he like, does he inject her with something, or just like, he does, like, he puts something on her skin that's going to turn it invincible. And they, while they're all doing this, we get another, like, I think it's Jump, Jive, and Wail this time. It's another swing song. And so once they do the indestructible skin thing, the last step is they've got to install the evil bone, the most important thing that every evil monster needs to have.
The one thing that makes all evil monsters actually evil.
Yeah. So they put in the evil bone, and then, you know, Igor's all like excited. You know, he's getting his mad scientist moment. They're getting ready to bring the creature to life, and he yells, "Pull the switch!"
Oh, wait. I'm the Igor here.
Yeah, Scamper's like, "Do not yell at me."
Right.
And he's like, "Please pull the switch."
Right.
Yeah, and so he does, and, you know, we get the big scene. You know, there's lightning and everything, and again, doesn't seem like it worked. The creature doesn't move, and while they're kind of like mourning the fact that the experiment didn't work out, they realize that, wait, the creature's gone. She got up and went somewhere while we weren't looking.
Right, and here's a great joke of, like, Igor's like, "Where did she go?" And Scamper's like, "Look right behind you." And they do. Nothing's there. And he's like, "It was just a suggestion."
Yeah.
Beautiful.
But instead, she's actually hanging from the ceiling, and then she, like, swings down and, like, smashes through a wall and just runs away.
Yeah. Just yells and runs off, as all good monsters do. It turns out, where did they track her to? It looks like the house for the blind orphans.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this big orphanage, and they hear all this, like, screaming coming from inside.
Igor's excited. He's like, "Yes, she killed a bunch of blind orphans."
She's so evil. That's even more evil than I expected. But, man, I mean, blind orphans, like, that's next level dark. Evil.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they go inside, you know, excited to see what kind of chaos she has caused.
Well, it turns out she is killing them with joy and kindness.
Yeah. Yep, she's just, like, playing with the kids. She's, like, tossing them up in the air. I think that she's got, like, one, like, you know, like, piggyback on her back or whatever. Just playing around. And Igor is so disappointed. And he's like, "I command you, stop being kind to those orphans."
Right. Well, it turns out she doesn't. As a matter of fact, she enjoys their paper flowers that they made for her.
Yeah. She's, like, sniffing the flowers, which I felt like is kind of a nod to, like, you know, the original Frankenstein and, you know, the girl by the pond. And I think, like, while they're all playing, I don't remember if it was Scamper or Brain, but one of them's like, "Man, blind orphans just have all the luck."
Right, it was definitely Brain. Yeah, because I was like, "Oh, shit." Damn, man.
Yeah. It's a pretty dark joke.
Right. But as she's touching it, the blind matron, who is obviously not blind, is like, "Hey, you touched that flower. You bought it, buddy."
Yeah. Yeah. So then we just cut away from this to Dr. Schadenfreude, who is breaking into Glickenstein's castle and discovers that Glickenstein is dead.
Just finds the arm.
Yeah. And then finds all of Igor's notes and is like, "Wait, the Igor is creating life? This is perfect.
That's great.
Yeah, I can easily steal from an Igor."
Yeah.
So then we cut back to our gang of heroes, and Igor is having trouble getting...
Well, light villains for right now.
Yeah, protagonists, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only way that he can get the creature to come home is he's, like, folding up paper flowers and tossing them, and she's having to, like, she's picking them up one at a time, like a trail of breadcrumbs kind of thing.
Yeah, she has, like, a bouquet of paper flowers, and Scamper's like, "Boy, she's forming a club of paper flowers to bludgeon us."
So evil.
Yeah.
And, you know, Igor's like, "Well, I think what's happened is we put the evil bone in, but it didn't start, so we need to jump start the evil bone, and once we get her to do something evil, that'll fix everything." And
just one act of evil.
Yeah, and Scamper's like, she wouldn't even hurt a fly. And Igor's like, yes, that's it. See this
a fly buzzing around.
Hurt this fly.
Right.
And yeah, she won't.
She swings her hand down like she's going to smash it, but then she just lets it go outside of the castle.
Yeah. He's, upset, and he keeps yelling. He's like, no, this isn't how it's supposed to be. You're evil. You're evil.
And she's like, I'm Eva.
Yeah. So our monster gets a name here. She's Eva.
Yeah. Aw.
So since this isn't working, Igor's like, well, I guess the next step is we can take her down to the brainwash. We can, clear her out and start fresh, and that'll work.
It's a literal brainwash, like a car wash.
Yeah, and they have like different when you go to the car wash, and it's like, do you want this package or this? You want to get the wheel wax or whatever?
The undercarriage coating.
Yeah. But here he gets the Axe Murderer special.
As you do.
And the way that this works is they basically hook her up to like the Clockwork Orange machine and make her watch scary stuff, and that's going to like make her evil.
Right. Well, at this time, Brain has decided, hey, I could go for a good brainwashing. So how about you set me up?
Yeah, and so his is an actual like bathtub that they put him in since he's just a brain. Yeah. But then he manages to drop, like, he's just playing on the TV in his little, area, and he drops the remote, and it gets ruined. So he's like, well, I got to go get another remote so I can pick out what I want to watch. He steals Eva's remote and goes back into his room, and he's trying to change the channel, but of course it's not for his TV.
Right. And he basically sets her to, what is it? Some Master's Theater or
the Actors Studio.
Actors Theater, sorry.
Yeah, the James Lipton. And so she's, and it's like, because I saw something before we watched this that said like James Lipton as himself in this, and I was like, what is that going to be? And sure enough, it's like, live action footage on the TV screen of James Lipton. And he's talking about actors process. If you've seen the Actors Studio, like it's just an episode of that. And at the end, the monster comes out, and now not only is she not evil, but she thinks she's an actress.
Yeah. I mean, why not, right?
And so, of course, they're playing it up. She's being like the diva actress kind of character. It's almost like Jenna from 30 Rock is kind of the vibe.
Right, and as they're basically leaving, she makes the joke of, "Oh, I need to adopt a bunch of children from around the world," and I'm like, "Oh," because that was at that time that was the thing, right?
That's
Angelina like Jolie and I think a couple others were doing that.
Yeah, and of course, Igor tries to get the car wash people to like fix it, and they're like, nope, once you do a brainwash, that's permanent. No money back.
You can never undo the brainwash.
Yeah.
I feel like they're missing something, repeat business. You gotta let something happen there. Or fade over time.
Yeah, you would think. Mm-hmm. And so they all head home, and Igor's just like, I guess this is it. Yeah. Yeah. And the whole time Eva's just like, just talking nonstop, and it's just kind of like silly sort of caricature of like a vapid actress. While they're driving, we see that Dr. Schadenfreude is following behind them.
Yeah, and what's his plan? To steal the monster with the shrink ray.
Yeah. So we end up in like a high-speed chase where, Schadenfreude is like firing this shrink ray, and it's like he keeps missing, but he's like shrinking stuff all around them, and
they're getting closer and closer.
Yeah, it gets to a point where they're like, oh no, we can't get away. What are we gonna do? If he hits Eva, that'll be it, and. Igor's
if they hit us, they could just get Eva, right?
Mm-hmm. And then Igor's like, but no, we made her skin indestructible. She should be our shield. So that's what they do. They kind of position her in the back of the car.
Well, they say, what do they say that gets her to pop up immediately? Oh, he just literally says, who wants to be a great actress? And she pops up, I do! And literally slaps the shrink ray back to Schadenfreude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he gets hit with the beam instead. But in the process, Igor and his car of people like end up like hanging off the side of a cliff.
Right. He's basically being held by Scamper. Scamper's being held by Brain, and Brain's holding onto a rock, right? Mm-hmm. And he literally looks up at Scamper and he's like, please don't let your suicidal tendencies affect you now.
Yeah. But before Scamper can make any decision as far as that goes, Eva reaches down and pulls them all up. Igor's like, oh, this is what happens when you have someone who's not evil. They actually help. That was good. And she's like, yeah, of course. As an actress, I feel things very deeply. Of course I had to help you.
Yeah. Very empathetic, right? And immediately Brain's like, yeah, see, if I didn't steal her remote and basically ruin the brainwashing, we would have died.
Yeah, and Igor, like, obviously is very upset to learn this and, like, is about to kill him.
With an axe.
Yeah. But then he realizes the trick here is if she thinks she's an actress, we just need to give her a role. It's easy. We just tell her that she's playing an evil character, and she'll be evil.
And who's the most evil character of all? Little Orphan Annie.
He's like, it's an avant-garde production where she's an evil character.
Right. She's fighting a bunch of other monsters, though.
Yeah.
It's very kaiju and Godzilla inspired.
Right. So they start rehearsing for the play. She's like dancing and doing like twirls. And as she does, she's just smashing shit everywhere.
Saying the sun will come out tomorrow.
Yeah, and Igor's like, this is perfect. This is going to work great. Cut to like a little short dream sequence where Igor is like imagining getting like a recognition for his scientific achievements. No, I don't think it's actual dream sequence. I think he's just talking about it. And then he tells Eva, I just really want to be important. I want to do this thing. And she's like, yeah, I do too. But like for me, I would rather be a good nobody than an evil somebody.
Right.
And of course, Igor's like, no, no, we want to be evil. And she's like, I think you're good and you just don't realize it. I think you're a really good person.
Right, which is wild that, a creation is like, I know there's good in you.
Yeah, like she's clearly more insightful about what's going on than Igor is at this point.
So she's not that vapid.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the most important thing, the Invisible Man not wearing pants.
Yeah, it's a great ongoing gag in this. It starts, so we got the king, he's like, the Invisible Man has like a talk show basically. But you see like, you see just glasses and a microphone and like a suit jacket, and that's it.
But Malbert calls attention, he's like, dude, you ain't got no pants on.
And he's like, yeah, of course not. Like, it's more comfortable. I feel good without pants.
I'm free, scratches butt, sniffs finger.
Yeah. But the king is on the show to talk about the evil science fair. And I think then we see that, this is on a TV being watched by Dr. Schadenfreude.
Well, he even says, we're going to knock Schadenfreude off his perch. Like, he's literally calling out Schadenfreude.
Yeah. And so obviously Dr. Schadenfreude's pretty upset about this. And I think, he's just kind of mad. And then we cut to, back to the Igor and company, and they're continuing to prepare for Annie.
Her Eva's performance.
Mm-hmm. And while they're practicing and stuff, it's another big band number. And this one's "Woman as Big as a House," which she is like.
Bigger the figure, the more I can love.
Yeah. I mean, the song is obviously about being attracted to a fat woman, but yeah.
Well, listen, pleasantly sized. How about that? No.
Yeah. I mean, the song's definitely like it's a silly kind of comical song, but it does have a certain amount of like body positivity to it. It's like.
Well, it also kind of has some weird feederism stuff. If you're into that, good for you. That ain't my bag,
Yeah. But, of course, it works here because she is way bigger than everyone else. She literally is big as a house in all dimensions. And I think once they're kind of done, the montage ends, we see Eva peeking into the lab where Igor and Scamper and Brain are working, and she's like, I need to talk to you guys. And Scamper's like, if she's having woman trouble, it's all you. I'm out of here. Which is like, that's such a joke that like kids are not gonna get.
Right. Well, also, I feel like every person here, maybe Eva, is woefully inequipped to solve those.
Right. Yeah. But no, it's not woman trouble. She's actually very grateful for everything that the guys have done for her, and she has gifts for everyone.
She has a new label for Brain.
Mm-hmm. Yep, she's
spelled correctly.
Yeah, puts the sticker over his, permanent marker misspelling.
Mm-hmm.
And then she has a plant to give to Scamper, and it's immortal. So
yeah,
she's
it's a prehistoric era greenwood, I believe, is what she said.
Yeah, so she's like, if we don't make, if we're not around forever, and you're, all by yourself, at least you'll have this for company.
How fucking depressing is that?
Yeah.
All my friends are dead, but I have this tree that one of them gave me a long time ago.
Right.
Gosh.
Yeah. But, it at least shows that she's very thoughtful and trying to, find things that fit each of them. And then, the last thing is she has a beret for Igor because...
Yeah, that's your director.
Yeah, he's a great director, and every director needs a beret.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, it was very sweet. And
well, Scamper's like, yeah, we got you a gift, too. Igor, you better go get it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
they got nothing.
Yeah, so they all go together, and, Igor's like, I feel like a good guy would feel really guilty about tricking her, but good thing I'm evil. I definitely don't feel guilty, but, it's clear he feels pretty guilty about
I'm not lying to myself at all.
Yeah.
The gift that Igor gave her was a random necklace he found.
Oh, yeah, he does find a little necklace.
What is this necklace?
Yeah, it seemed like it was, not, it was some piece of equipment or some sort of, ID badge or something that he told her was a necklace. It's not a particularly, pretty piece of jewelry. But
she loves it.
Yeah, she's touched by it. It's still a gift from, the person who made her. So yeah, she takes it as a kindness at least. And then a little later, Heidi comes back, Jacqueline in her disguise. She has a greeting card from the brainwash to give to Igor. And we didn't mention this, but when they were at the car wash earlier, there's just a rack of greeting cards, and Brain and Scamper are looking at them. And they see that there's one...
I love how it's a Mother's Day card, by the way, that Scamper finds.
Yeah. And the way that it's when you open it, it teleports you to the person that sent it to you.
Scamper's is literally a shotgun blast to the face. And we see his brain regrow at that time.
Yeah. But then, the other card that they look at, it causes you to teleport, so it's a way to capture someone.
Yeah.
And it turns out that's the one that Heidi's giving to Igor, and so he instantly gets transported to Dr. Schadenfreude. Eva comes to check in on him, and, he's gone, but Heidi is still there.
She's such a bitch in this.
Yeah. Yeah, she calls her ugly and says that she looks like she was made of junkyard parts and has an ugly face.
Great.
Yeah, this character is supposed to be awful, and she nails it. It's we're not supposed to feel sympathy for her at all here. So, yeah.
Right. But Heidi also mentions that about her audition for tomorrow, which we know is the science fair, but Heidi didn't, and she's like, audition, you say? Okay, we can use this.
Yeah. So she's gonna rush back to tell Dr. Schadenfreude and everything. Meanwhile, at his lab, he is, you assume he's gonna just try to torture Igor, but instead he's using the carrot rather than the stick here.
Yeah, gives him wine. They have a massage.
Yeah, he's like, why don't you can be my assistant, and then I'll take Eva. We'll go to the science fair together, and then we can overthrow the king. And
then you could become a scientist after we do that.
Yeah. And, Igor is, one, smart enough to realize that this is a trick. And two, I think, his conscience has kind of started to build and everything. And he's like, no, this isn't right. This isn't what I should be doing.
Yeah, but he still lets it go that there was an issue with the evil bone.
Yeah.
And Schadenfreude is like, oh, evil bone, you say? Okay.
Yeah. So as Igor tries to leave, they're in a sauna at this point, and he starts picking up the burning hot rocks and throwing them on.
Well, Schadenfreude basically has locked the sauna. He's like, you're not getting out of here. You haven't fallen in love with your creation, right? Because that would be really pathetic.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and then, like, basically he's like, you're going to stay here or you're going to die. And that's when Igor's like, throw hot coals at your face.
Yeah. So, yeah, he manages to escape, and then on his way...
Schadenfreude's Igor and Schadenfreude trapped in the pool.
Yeah. It's like the cover goes over it, I think. Is that what?
Yeah. Which, that would probably be awful. Because it's like, I'm going to drown this way.
Yeah.
I'm going to die. Yeah.
But as he's heading home, he kind of he realizes, like, I'm treating Eva the same way that Schadenfreude was trying to treat me.
Yeah.
And I didn't like feeling like I was being used, and she shouldn't be used either.
Right. And this is when we cut to Eva, who asks Scamper and Brain if, do I look pretty? Because she saw Heidi, and apparently that was the standard for beauty, I guess. Mm-hmm. And Scamper's like, get the makeup! Let's go!
Yeah, yep. So they're all kind of getting her all fixed up. And then back at Dr. Schadenfreude's, Jacqueline has gotten there to tell him the news, or what she's learned, and they start arguing. This is where we find out that not only is she Jacqueline and Heidi, but she has a whole collection of pills of various disguises that match up with all the different evil scientists around the country.
Right. She's like, I am everyone's girlfriend at this point.
Yeah.
Because she's mainly Schadenfreude's.
Yeah. But she does tell Schadenfreude that, she's learned that Eva thinks she's an actress. And he's like, oh, good, we can use this.
Yeah, I have the ultimate part for her to play, blah.
Yeah. And at that point, Igor arrives home and finds Eva all dressed up as Annie in costume and makeup, ready to go. She trips on something or something and, like, falls.
Yeah, I don't know if she's Annie, but it's like she has, like, this gown with a black wig.
Yeah.
Yeah, as she's walking down, she trips over the gown.
Yeah, so she falls and says something about, like, I'm falling for you to Igor. And Igor... Yeah, and Igor's, like, about to... It looks like he's going to come clean and tell her everything. But before he can, Heidi comes back. So Heidi is trying to talk to Igor, and while...
She's like, I love you. I finally realized I love you.
Yeah, so while that's distracting him, Schadenfreude appears and starts talking to Eva, and he's like, Igor's been lying to you all this time.
I'm going to make you a star.
Yeah, stick with me and you'll be big.
Right.
And, of course, Eva's loyal to Igor. She's not really buying it. And then he's like, well, take a look, and pulls back a curtain, and we see outside where Igor is talking to Heidi. And, like, Igor's telling her, no, I'm not interested. Like,
right.
I have...
She's trying to kiss all over his face.
Yeah, so... Eva just sees what looks like they are kissing, and so she's like, okay, Igor is, betraying me or whatever.
Or he's more interested in Heidi. But then Igor's like, no, Heidi, this is not going to happen. And she's like, you're rejecting me? Excuse me.
Yeah.
I reject you. You don't reject me.
Yeah. So, and of course, meanwhile, Eva has left heartbroken with Schadenfreude. And I think when Heidi is like, you don't reject me, she, like, ends up turning back into Jacqueline in front of him, and it's just like, it doesn't matter anymore. So she's not, keeping up this appearance anymore.
Yeah.
The king arrives after she leaves, and he's like, Igor, I know that Dr. Glickenstein is dead, and I want answers.
Right. I've heard it through the grapevine that Glickenstein's dead.
Yeah. Igor's like, yeah, he did die, but I actually did create life.
Yeah, okay. You're just an Igor.
Yeah, you couldn't possibly... Life? Yeah, and he's like, well, I've got proof. I'll show you. And then he goes to show him Eva, but, she's gone with Dr. Schadenfreude. So he's got nothing. And so the king and his, like, goons or whatever, they take Igor away. They're going to take him to the Igor recycling plant.
Well, they're going to throw him in the very specific Igor recycling disposal?
Yeah.
That's like apparently in every mad scientist's lab.
Right. They drop him down the chute, and then we see the science fair kicking off elsewhere. At first, it's just like kind of, I think we get the Invisible Man again as like the MC and everything. Yeah. And then we cut back to Scamper and Brain, who jump down the trash chute to try to follow
We
Igor.
have a really cool moment between Brain and Scamper, though, because Brain's like, I'm going to go save him. And then Scamper's like, wait. And Brain's like, you can't stop me. And Scamper then says, no, I'm going with you. And it's like, oh, they're friends.
Yeah.
How nice is that?
Yeah. So, yeah, they're going to go rescue their creator, and friend.
Yeah. But it turns out they're all immediately, like, caught in this fucking trap. They're hung up.
Yeah, they're all, like, about to go into an incinerator. It feels very similar to, like, Toy Story 3, where at the end where they're like at the dump or whatever, and Igor's just kind of like, I've failed over and over again. Like I don't deserve any of this at this point. Like I'm just gonna let myself go into the incinerator at this point.
Right, and Scamper's like, wait a second. The one moment I've decided that I want to live,
right?
You're the one giving up.
Yeah, and even like Brain is like, Igor, you should stand tall and fight for Eva. Like you made this really great creation, and she's even better than you expected, and that was all you. So you should get out of here and go help her.
Yeah, well, they call attention to it. That's uncharacteristically intelligent of you, Brain.
Yeah.
Well, now it's time to die, I guess.
Yeah, because they like Igor's trying to escape at that point, but he can't. And then all of a sudden, Scamper just appears, and he gets them loose, and they're like, how did you get out? And he's like, come on, you think this is the first time I've had to chew off my own feet? I do it all the time. It's fine.
I gnawed his leg off. We see it. We see the gnawed off leg.
Yeah. That's the good thing about immortality. He gets put in some really rough situations and is fine.
There are no consequences.
Yeah. So now they're kind of like running around through these catacombs trying to escape, and like they're being chased by guards. And everywhere they're going, Brain keeps like pulling on things, and they're like, we're trying to run. What are you doing? And he's like, I'm looking for a secret passage. And they're like,
there's always one.
Yeah, they're like, no, we got to go. The guards are chasing us. Stop wasting time. And then suddenly it ends up like, does Igor crash into something that opens a passage?
Igor's like, okay, I guess this is it. We tried so hard and we failed, got so far, and in the end, nothing really matters. Anyway, he basically smacks his hand against the wall in frustration, punches in the secret button, and the door opens up.
Yeah, and Brain's like, see, I told you.
This is a secret stairway, not a passage.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah.
And then, so like back upstairs, the science fair is kind of kicking off now. I think some of the scientists are like coming out. They're getting ready to show off their different inventions. But then back with Igor and Scamper and Brain, they get
let's talk about what King Malbert does, like at the beginning. He's literally just says, hey, world, this is our yearly extortion of you. So if you don't give us like $1 billion, we're going to send whatever thing wins to destroy all of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like they're being like broadcast.
Yeah.
But
which,
then
that's got to be like the Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah, just like broadcasting to the entire world, like Eurovision or something. But yeah,
if Malbert's smart, he's making money both ways. He's like, we will extort you, and I'm getting fucking ad revenue.
Right. But then, yeah, meanwhile, Igor and Scamper and Brain have gotten to the end of the passage, and they're now on top of the king's castle.
Yeah, like his evil beacon.
Mm-hmm. And like this is, the thing that sort of makes his castle stand out or whatever. Igor climbs up a ladder to look at it, and suddenly he's like above the clouds, and it's like sunny and beautiful. Like everything's fine. What?
That's weird.
Yeah, and so he realizes that this is a weather ray, actually, that the king has set all of this in motion. This is all a big evil plan by the king.
Literally, he created this ray to convince everyone that they needed to be evil so they could extort the world. I'm guessing because he ran out of ideas after Weather Ray.
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, so obviously this is a big revelation. This changes everything. Meanwhile, Dr. Schadenfreude is getting ready to send out Eva. We've seen some of the other monsters that the other scientists have made.
Yeah.
And
which is basically robots, right? For the most part.
Yeah, I think.
Blob.
Yeah, and there's something that's like kind of like some sort of dragon-y thing that's like, some sort of mutant. But Dr. Schadenfreude is able to like goad Eva to the point that she shoves him, which causes the evil bone to activate inside her.
Like a shove.
Yeah.
A little bit less or a little bit more than self-defense, and that activates her evil bone.
Right.
Okay.
But like her eyes start glowing, and so she's headed out onto the field to face off all the other creations. But meanwhile, Igor's trying to lower himself down into the Colosseum because he wants to save Eva.
He tries to rappel down the side of this massive castle.
Mm-hmm. And so we've got all the scientists now, like unleashing the creations, and it's just like a big. It's like what's that? Battle bots or something, it's just like a big battle
Except
royale.
everything goes at once. It's like the Battle Bots Royal Rumble.
Yeah. And Eva thinks she's still like doing her acting role as Annie, so she starts singing tomorrow, and she's like
while she's kicking everything's ass.
Yeah, she's just dancing around, but she's just like wrecking everybody's shit. Like it's just But of course, most of this movie we've been saying that it's all big band music, but like this song, of course, the main line is "the sun will come out tomorrow," and we know that this land has not seen the sun in a very long time, so there's some thematic stuff going on here.
Well, because also at this time Scamper's like, hey, let's fucking destroy this Weather Ray, and he just says that'll fix everything, I guess.
And they keep trying to, like, they're trying all kinds of stuff and nothing's working. And finally, Scamper's like, I know what to do.
Well, Brain says, yeah, I mean, if we could just cut, like, all the lines at once.
Yeah. Yeah, but, it's all these live wires. I don't know how we could do it. And finally, Scamper's like, okay, I know what to do. And he just, like, smashes up against the... we've seen this many times in Frankenstein movies. People get thrown against the electrical equipment and get shocked to death, But, of course, Scamper's indestructible, so it just destroys the ray, and he's fine.
Yeah. I mean, this was his time to shine, right?
Right.
I have the one tool to fix this. Immortality.
Yeah. But then, down, like Eva has destroyed all the robots or all the other creations, so Dr. Schadenfreude is like overthrowing the king while he's kind of taking over. Igor is trying to talk to Eva and apologize.
Yeah, he's like, hey, as somebody once told me, I'd rather be a good nobody than an evil somebody.
Yeah.
Aww.
And he's like, I realize everybody has an evil bone, but we all get to choose whether or not to use it.
Listen, I don't have an evil bone in my body. Anyway.
But while they're having this conversation, indeed, the sun comes out.
Right.
And
that's when her evil bone shorts out as well.
Yeah, her eyes stop glowing. She's just good again. And Igor gets on, like, there's a camera, to be filming the battle royale, and he tells the entire world the king's evil plan, and the king's like, no, that he's making stuff up. I don't see any proof. Do you see a weather ray anywhere? I don't see a weather ray. And then suddenly the weather ray just crashes and like lands
falls on him.
Yeah, just crushes him.
Because Scamper and Brain pushed it over the side.
Yeah. And then we also see that Jacqueline, she says like, "Oh no, I've run out of pills. I don't want anyone to see my true form."
She has a true form?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we like at first we don't like we just kind of the way the camera is like we see someone see her form but we don't see it.
We see her silhouette and everyone's like, "Ew, gross."
And then we end up with like it cuts to like the future. And now malaria is good again, and it has sun, and there's, farms and everything. But also, Eva has a community theater that she runs, and all the blind orphans perform.
Yeah. Scamper and Brain are getting them ready with their outfits.
Yeah, and we also, I think, somewhere in this little like end montage, we see that Jacqueline's true form is that she's a hunchback. Also,
she's an Igor.
Yeah.
And of course, Schadenfreude has changed his name back to Pockelmaker.
Yeah, yeah. He's selling pickles at the the community theater performance.
Yeah, and Igor's the new king / president / some form of leadership.
Yeah. And so the kids all come out to do their performance, and of course, what are a bunch of blind orphans going to sing? I can see clearly now, the rain is gone.
Jeez, okay. Well, and also at this moment, Igor brings a plan to Eva, and he's like, hey, I've been thinking, maybe we could put this together. If it doesn't work out, we can adopt. You think it's going to be a kid, right? Mm-hmm. No, they're going to build a dog.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that's sweet. They're a couple, and they're that's always the first good step. Get a pet, figure out if you want to have children or not.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And then we get sung out to I can see clearly now the rain is gone.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It's I really did like this. I thought it was sweet. It had a message, but it wasn't like too heavy-handed. Yeah. Yeah, and it was fun. Like, it was just a funny, kind of lighthearted movie.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I was like, man, this CGI sucks. But it could have been just the TV I was watching it on, and it didn't look that bad.
Yeah, this time period was definitely like when they had pretty much stopped making regular animated films anymore. It was all like DreamWorks. It's all DreamWorks' fault. Like, they just started cranking out Shreks and Ice Ages like every year. And they just
CGI was dirt cheap, and animation actually cost a lot of money to make.
Yeah, so the animation in this, it's not great, but it's not terrible either. No. Like if you look at it as like a stylistic choice, like it's not terrible.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, but it's a like we talked about it last week, that like 2 weeks ago, I guess, like that we had that movie with Daniel Radcliffe as Igor and kind of like focusing on him, and here we get to really focus in on him even more. We get to see the malformed sidekick finally kind of get his due and like get treated well for once. He finds love, and the monster finds love. It's just it's
beautiful.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot of things that we want out of Frankenstein stories that we rarely get. We finally get here.
This reminds me of a certain episode of Tales from the Crypt. I'll let you figure out which one that is.
Oh, yeah. And, it is not, I mean, like, Dr. Schadenfreude being named that, like, that's such a good joke, too. Like, it feels like, I don't know the writer, who, like, I don't know what else that they've done, but, like, this feels like something that like a person with a little bit of vision did.
There's definitely comedic chops here, and it could be because of John Cleese and Jay Leno, and like you said, Susie / Eddie Izzard, or is it just Susie now? Okay, Susie Izzard.
I think the last time I looked, it looked like they were good with either one, but
yeah, that's what I thought.
Kind of like there's some people that are just like any pronouns. I think they're just good with either name.
And going back to what you were saying about the writers, so this is a mixed bag, because on one writer basically did the entire like modern Spider-Man trilogy, so good writing, whereas the another writer did the Emoji Movie and Lilo and Stitch 2.
Oh yeah, that's the guy that directed it too. Like,
yeah,
he directed the Emoji Movie. Oh yeah, that.
Yeah,
and like and some of the Kung Fu Panda movies.
Yeah, we got a TV writer who's done The Only Murders in the Building and a couple other things.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a mixed bag as far as writers go. But yeah, like you said, Tony Leonidis actually did the writing and directing. So I'm gonna put this on Chris McKenna. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it looks like because it looks like Tony Leonidis is like credited as like additional screenplay material. So I'd imagine Chris McKenna came with like a vision, and then
It's probably
clearly,
the
like,
standard song and dance. Like McKenna came in with the actual vision, and then like halfway through, they were like, "All right, you're asking too much of us." Leonidis was like, "I just want to go home, so we're gonna cut McKenna and just finish this fucking thing off."
Yeah. Because it looks like McKenna he wrote one of the recent Jumanjis. He wrote for the Lego Movie, a bunch of episodes of Community. So like, this is a guy who's like,
he's a good writer.
Definitely, yeah. So it shines through. Like I think this, it's a unique concept too. Like, we're in the over 120 episodes at this point, and this feels pretty fresh. Like, it feels like a different take than we've seen.
Yeah, we haven't seen Igor and the monster fall in love yet, so
no,
here we are.
Yeah. Usually the hunchback sidekick is like the abuser of the monster even more than the mad scientist. So,
or in certain movies, just the abused until they become the monster.
Yeah. This is, it's kind of like Daniel kind of finally getting his due here.
Yeah.
I think this would be a fun movie to watch if you have kids, and if you don't, like, I had a great time with it just by myself. So
yeah,
definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, if you're an adult, it's good. There's still some stuff for you. There's probably a little bit more stuff for you.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Anthony. So, I mean, I don't know how I'm going to do this transition. We've done an Igor. I don't know. Anyway, next week we're going to be talking about I, Frankenstein.
Yeah. This one, I know a couple people have asked us about like when we're going to finally suffer through this one. I haven't. I think I saw this in the theaters and I wasn't crazy about it. I have not seen it since. I know it's one that's pretty maligned, so I'm kind of excited to see if it's as bad as I remember it, or if there's some fun redeeming qualities that we can find in it.
Funny story, this is my father-in-law's favorite movie.
Interesting.
Yep. I love the man, but I don't share that same opinion.
Well, if you talk to him between now and when we record, you should find out what he loves about it so much. Get some feedback from him.
I know what it is. We'll talk about it when we get there.
All right, yeah, I'm excited then. That'll be fun.
All right, where can they find us, Anthony?
So you can find us on all the socials at The Frankencast. You can email us at thefrankencast@gmail.com. You can also find us over on YouTube. And, of course, you can find us at patreon.com/thefrankencast, where we're, always trying new, different things. If you've been over there recently, we did a weird sort of, like, music mashup thing lately that I think is kind of fun. But we're still going through the recent-ish Monsters Today show. There's all kinds of fun stuff over there.
Absolutely, yep. Go check it out. You'll find something that'll tickle your fancy for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, anything else we got?
I think that's it.
All right, well, in that case, to be continued.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman and Eric Velasquez. Follow us on Twitter at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek. Thanks for listening.